I'm Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Here we go with part 2 with Richard Horvitz.
So you'll constantly get breakdowns, and you've seen them where it says, he is constantly kind and suddenly cruel. Mm-hmm. Generous to a fault, but stingy beyond belief.
Yes.
Happy and sad, and all, like, we'll give you 3 pages of breakdown in the story. Mm-hmm. 3 pages. And then give you a paragraph. That's it. That paragraph. That's all you get. I guarantee you that 9 out of 10 people are going to come in there and try to do everything that's in that breakdown on that take them down. Get
So
all
he's
that
schizophrenic.
stuff. Schizophrenic.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's what I always tell people when I try to break them of that habit, is if I said to you, have you cried in your life?
Absolutely.
Have you laughed in your life?
Absolutely.
Have you been angry in your life? Have you been jealous in your life? Have you been loving in your life? Are you showing all of those things to me right now?
Right.
It's not what's appropriate to that. So when you give me this thing, where I'm operating right at this moment, that's the side of that personality that you described that will come out. You give me another set of sides where another scene later, that happens, you'll see that side. Mm-hmm. But we put this pressure on ourselves that we have to be everything because our want becomes booking the job. And that is not our job.
Right.
Well, and then you're in that, I have to please them, whoever
exactly.
they are.
The
and
theys.
then you're in
I call
that.
them the theys.
The theys. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the theys. And so then you're what do I think they want, as opposed to, because sometimes they don't know what they want.
Exactly.
Or sometimes they don't know it till they hear it. And
Well,
maybe it's your authentic
And
presentation
what
of it.
Exactly. What I always tell people is that he wants one thing, he wants another thing, she wants a celebrity, he wants this, he wants that. We have no control over that.
Right.
Yes.
What do we have control over? How we play. How we play. And we never worried about how we played when we were on the playground. We didn't go.
Is that right?
Yeah. Hey, Stacey, you want to go on the swings? No, wait a minute. Before we go on the swings, how high will we swing? How many pumps with our feet will we make?
Yeah.
Before we get to the height
And we
want.
analyze and analyze and analyze. We didn't do that when we were playing as kids, but we do it here. It's like I love practice.
Absolutely,
I love
man.
practiced improvs.
Yeah.
You know that one guy when you go on a commercial audition that they have this one line that they've made up.
Yes,
and they can't wait to get it in really fast at the end.
I know, whether it's
Improvised at the end.
whether it's even appropriate.
Right.
Yeah. That
And-
happened to me actually not that long ago in an on-camera audition. I was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
And you know
Are
why?
you in the same room as I am? It was like, but he had his improv, his
his
shtick.
practiced improv.
Yeah. I'm like,
his
okay.
memorized improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. He does that because he wants to stand out beyond his story to be hired, right?
Yeah.
So they think, oh, they'll remember me. They'll think I'm funny. That's why I'll get the job. But it's not. And I wholly believe this that the story is the promised land. That's
Yeah.
what we pay homage to, is that story.
Yeah.
It is it is not our job to drive the vehicle. The vehicle drives us. The words move through us. There was a great clip, I don't know, people posted on Facebook recently about Robert De Niro talking about how you just talk sometimes. You just talk sometimes. Here's another little trick that I tell people, and if I'm going on too long, tell me.
No,
But
not at all.
if I asked you how you got here today, you would say, well, I drove down Ventura Boulevard, I got in my car, and blah, 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 and I would listen to you. And I have no reason to doubt that.
Right.
Because it happened to you.
Yeah.
Our job is to use our imaginations, which is a muscle, to make ourselves believe that it happened to us. We do that away from the mic. Then when we get to the mic, we play. But so many people try to do it at the mic. And that's when you run into trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%,
It's fantastic.
man. Everybody has either good habits or some people have bad habits. What are a few bad habits that you see often, maybe in voice actors, and what are some good habits that you also see that people have, just to identify the bad habits and the good?
Bad habits in regards to actual recording or actually the way they approach story?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, listen, it all boils
Yes.
down to if you're
Yeah.
out there and you're trying to make money, it's like the only thing that's going to make you money is when you give a great audition.
Right.
Right? Having a great equipment and all this stuff, that's never going to get you
Yeah.
a gig.
The biggest bad habits I see are that people will say to me all the time, "Oh, I got a ton of voices," and I'll say, "Yeah, but you know, it's a lot of people say, oh, I have this voice. What story can I put this voice to?" And they try to make that voice fit that story, but
Right.
it may not be right. That's really a bad habit that people do. Also, you know, Bob Bergen said this. He said, you know, everyone can do Porky Pig. I will give him that. Everyone can do Porky Pig. But can you do Porky Pig doing Shakespeare? Can you do Porky Pig, which you saw in the movie?
Yeah.
Can you do Porky Pig, falling in love? Can you do Porky Pig? And that's where the work is.
Exactly.
That's where the heart of the matter is.
That's where the heart of the matter is, exactly.
So that's one of the biggest bad habits I see. Other things I see in bad habits are...
So thinking that it's just about
It's
the
about
voice.
the voice.
That's
it's
a
the
horrible
story.
habit.
That is a horrible
Yeah.
habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a horrible habit. One of the other bad habits that I see a lot, people do really hard voices because they do the audition.
Right.
Then they get in the job and they're suddenly having to do this voice for 3 hours,
yeah.
4 hours. And you auditioned it. You auditioned
And now
it.
you can't
so
hack it.
you better
Yeah.
make sure you choose a voice that you're going to be able to
Okay.
sustain for a long time. Yay! It's like Billy from Billy and Mandy, which was one of my
Yeah, yeah,
shows. Invader Zim was very hard for me because that was a lot of yelling, but that's
Yeah.
because that's the way I approached it. So that's a bad habit. Good habits, people who break down their stories.
Well, yeah.
They do their work.
You've been talking about
Yeah,
everything
they
you've
do
been
their
talking
work.
about are good
Yeah.
habits.
Those are good habits.
And think of it as a business.
I think of it as a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good habit.
It's a good habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you are your business.
Yeah. I always tell people this. I say, if you treat your voiceover business like a hobby, it's going to cost you money.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
If you treat it like a business,
Yeah.
you'll actually make money.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything you spend a lot of time thinking about becomes important to you. That's a law of nature. It's something I talk about. Something my mentor taught me. So if you think about your story a lot, it's going to become important to you.
Yeah.
You know, the problems you have in your secondary reality will always outweigh the problems you have in your primary reality. That's the other thing. People bring baggage into the studio, which is like ridiculous. You're there to play.
Yeah.
People say, well, it's a job. Yeah, it is a job. And we play, but we play seriously. It's serious playtime. You know, it's like you don't want to be distracting to the other people, but part of, when you're in those rooms, in those animation rooms, we're joking with each other right up until that thing rolls.
Yeah.
And then it's time to put on the Billy hat or the Zim hat or whatever hat. I wear a lot of hats.
So speaking of Billy and Billy's dad, Harold.
Harold, very good.
What are
Very good.
What are some of your favorite characters that you've played?
See, I get asked that a lot.
I mean, it may not be the fan favorite, but what
Right.
for you was
well,
like
it's really hard for me to pick one because when I'm playing in that world, I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I know that I've had jobs where I didn't care for them because they were really rough on my vocal cords. There was some in my early years when I did a lot of anime dubbing. That was really hard on my voice because you do a ton of characters in anime at a time, and you're often doing the grumbling. So those were tough for me. But every one of my characters has something of me in them. Daggett, I have a special place in from Angry Beavers because it was my first, domestic animation full-time series that we went 105 episodes on. It's the one that's most closely related to my own personality.
Yeah.
Invader Zim has been just like a gift in that it only went a season and a half. It's like Star Trek.
Yeah, you got
and
an Annie nomination.
Yeah,
It's a
well,
great-
you're good. You
She's
do your
very good.
homework. Wow.
She's very good.
And it's
Can't
gone
sing
on.
show tunes all the time.
I know.
You gotta do some work,
but
Richard.
you can. But you can.
While you're out there singing, I'm in the background.
Exactly.
I'm going to sleep.
But Zim has been just like this ongoing gift, and I loved the writing and the animation. That was like a show that was like way ahead of its time. So I'm a big fan of that.
yeah.
Billy and Mandy is just really close to me because. I've been fortunate to work with some of the greatest creators in the business. Mitch Schauer, Maxwell Adams, Jonan Vasquez. They have always been really kind about letting me do my thing. They know that I'm going to that place, so they just let me go. And it's never been more apparent than if you watch Billy and Mandy. If you look at Billy and Mandy, Billy starts out as a normal kid. In the very first episode, it's, "Hey, Mandy, what you doing? Hold your positions, boys." It was just a kid. But by the end of the series, Billy became, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." That was his lines every week. Yeah. But he was so good to me, Maxwell Adams. In fact, I'm working on something with him right now. It was a Kickstarter thing called Dead Meat that we're doing. It's animation and puppets. And
that's cool,
Yeah, it's
man.
going to be cool.
Cool.
I actually got to write for the show. So my wife and I wrote an episode together, and then I wrote an episode.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And I would say, hey, what if? But if you think about it, it would make sense because if you're thinking story all the time, if you're thinking about that world, ideas come up all the time for it would be
Yeah.
great to put him in this situation,
Yeah.
to put myself in this situation.
Yeah.
For me, it was, my kids play baseball 24/7, 365 here in LA, and they play well, and we spend most of our time at baseball. So I said, let's put Billy in a baseball thing and do a parody of the Bad News Bears. We called it the Bad News Ghouls.
That's
It was a
cool.
lot
That's
of fun,
cool.
yeah. And one of my
Right
favorite
on.
things is that Mandy, the character, different Mandy.
Different Mandy.
One of the favorite things that I came up with in that story is that Billy didn't know Mandy when she had a hat on. But it was just a baseball hat.
Just a baseball hat.
But she would stand in front of him talking and then put on the hat. He goes, "Oh, hi, Manfred. Mandy, girls can't play baseball. Hey, Manfred." And it was just like, I love those moments.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
that's really cool.
specifically love the moments where I get to have scenes with myself.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of, to me, I love Seth MacFarlane. I think that that Brian and Quagmire and Stewie and Peter are so totally different characters that he goes to that place, and he loves musicals. He goes to that place where, he's having these scenes back and forth, which I love to do that. And I think to myself, wow, that blows me away. That blows me away. I'm in awe of a lot of the people I see work and the people I work with.
Yeah.
Billy
Oh,
West.
Billy West,
Yeah.
my gosh,
Billy
yeah.
West.
Yeah.
He and I are close. We, Billy did the pilot of Invader Zim.
Yeah.
And then I came in and I did the show. But it was, and we were talking about egos in voiceover. There's an example of where there's no egos in voiceover.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Rob Paulson. I did a show called Squirrel Boy. Then after 5 episodes, they replaced me with Rob Paulson. And then after a couple episodes, they replaced Rob Paulson with me again. So,
Yeah.
so there's no room for egos to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
rid of. So I
exactly.
get that part of it.
Yeah.
But I did like my wife's comment that we were in a room of ourselves watching ourselves on.
And that was very clever.
That was very
was
clever. My wife is a
Very-
wonderful
She's
writer.
very sharp. So I was reading that you said that teaching is one of the most rewarding aspects of your career. Why
Absolutely.
do you feel that way?
Because teaching is a rewarding aspect for me because I like to see people succeed. And nothing makes me happier than someone who has come here to pursue their dream.
Yeah, me
And I
too.
know it sounds like oh, but I really do. When someone comes to pursue their dreams and they make headway in this business, and it's not just another story where someone came, moved their life out here, and then moved back,
Yeah.
I like to see that. And them succeeding, in turn, makes me look good.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of students that have done that, and just recently, I teach something I make people have these determinations that they write. Something I learned from my mentor, Dinah Castle. And I make you write down your determination. And I make you break it down specifically to how you're going to do it. You have to say how you're going to do it, step by step by step by step. And when they achieve one of those things, I say, mark it off. Anything you spend a lot of time thinking about becomes important to you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And so why it's rewarding to me,
Even if it's bad.
even if it's bad, that's true. It's true. Yeah, exactly. You have to watch out for
So-
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because you know what, something I said in that documentary we talked about earlier is that this is what happens is you see these movies like biography. And biography, they always say the same line in every single episode for whoever they're doing it on. Broke, hungry, and nowhere else to turn, fame was right around the corner.
Yeah.
And then they come back from the commercial break and they're famous. Or they get that one break. It's
They
like,
were
well,
living in their car
right,
and now
yes.
they have a
Wait a minute.
penthouse.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa,
There was nothing in
wait.
between.
My interesting point of this that I want to know about is, what did you do every single day when you didn't want to get up?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the best you could do was eat a bowl of cereal before
Yeah.
going back
Yeah.
to bed and clicking on the TV.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always been preoccupied with in my mind about, I'm a huge folk music fanatic. And
I can tell.
And yes, and we recently lost Pete Seeger. And I was amazed by Pete Seeger and everything he did, and Woody Guthrie in particular. That's why I'm such a fan of Springsteen as well, is that these people have done amazing things with their lives.
Yeah.
And I think that as I'm on my phone, as I'm playing, Candy Crush,
Yeah.
I think to myself, what would Pete Seeger be doing right now? He would be fighting the injustice in the world. So I was in therapy when I was young, not that young. And I said to my therapist, I said, here's what happens. I get these great ideas. And I think this will resonate with a lot of your viewers and listeners. I get these great ideas, and I see it in my mind, and I see it, and yes, and then that's how this will go. I'll write that, and then it'll go, and then blah, 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 blah. And then I sit down and turn on the TV and watch, Get Smart.
Right.
And then
One of my favorite shows ever.
That's my favorite show of all
You're
time.
kidding,
No,
dude.
my favorite.
Missed
favorite
it by that much.
All right, Siegfried, I just have one question for you before I place you under arrest. Schmott, how can you place me under arrest when I'm holding the gun? That was my question.
See, Chuck? Now you have a game.
I love that.
Now you and Richard have a game.
That is my favorite.
This is my favorite ADD episode.
guys will get smart and we'll sing.
And we'll sing. Oh, man, he missed it by that much. Well, you came and you gave. Shouldn't we use the cone of silence? Okay, so I just did a play with Bernie Capel last year, who played Siegfried.
Yeah.
And I told him that I was in love with that show. I mean, it's on MeTV, and I TiVo it every week. I don't have TiVo. I have whatever it is, DVR.
Yeah.
And I watch them over and over again. I know verbatim.
Yeah.
And so I told this to Bernie, and he goes, "Well, what's your favorite scene?" I said, "The scene in the submarine." And and he did it verbatim. He remembered the lines, and we did it. I worked with
so
Alan
cool.
Hale Jr., the skipper.
Yeah.
I played Gilligan to his skipper.
Oh, man.
These are the moments.
Those are the moments.
We recently lost Dave Madden.
Yeah.
And I love
Reuben
Dave. I
Kincaid.
worked with him a lot. But he and I were in the new Munsters with Jason Marsden, who was a little kid who played Eddie Munster back then. And I got to be with Reuben Kincaid. We were the first ones that find them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's part of. I think that's my most fun.
That's
in
so
this.
cool.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about.
But what
Guess
you were
what?
saying, how you get an idea.
Yes,
But you don't.
Yes, and so I said this to my therapist at one point. I said, and then I sit down and I watch TV, and she says there's an explanation for it. There's a physiological explanation, and this is why. Your brain gets the serotonin and the adrenaline rush of the idea, and it believes that it has done it.
It's happened.
It has
Yes.
happened. It believes it has happened. So really all I'm doing is giving myself a rush, is really what it is. That's the addiction rush.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And then they found out there was no cure for that.
that's right.
So,
no
boom, more therapy.
Right. Broke, hungry, and nowhere to turn. Fame was waiting right around the corner. And what they did in that movie is they just made Fame Boulevard and just kept getting further and further away.
Oh, God.
Okay, well, on that note, what do you still feel like you want to accomplish?
I was just going to ask you that.
that goes past the serotonin rush.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a lot of ideas that I sold a pilot to Disney along with my partner Mitch Schauer that we did. Mitch Schauer created the Angry Beavers. So
Yeah.
we produced it, animated it. It was for their shorts program. It didn't get picked up, but that was a lot of fun. So I have a lot of ideas I want to do. I want my own show.
Yeah.
Is really what I want.
Yeah.
I have some ideas that I want to pitch. In addition to that, I love theater. So I would love, my new current obsession is I want to do something at the Center Theater Group, which used to be the Music Center downtown. I love the Amundsen, I love the Taper. I would like to do that. Other things, I would like to win an Oscar and an Emmy and a Tony. And I want my album to drop, which I just like to say, because I like to
Your
say drop.
album to drop?
Yeah, that's what the kids say now. When does your
Is that-
album? When does your album drop?
Oh,
When does it drop?
when does it drop?
Well, if you would it be a folk
I
album?
get it.
What would be your perfect style of music if you could?
I'm so
Drop an album.
so eclectic in my writing, in my music, that when I first started, I used to have a band years ago. We were called the Sound Bastards. We were the bastard children of the mother of sound. And that was our thing. And I wrote most of our songs, and I look back on them now. You know these early songs, right? Where you go, well, I'm just so, I was like so over the top idealistic.
Was it like
right?
folk show?
It was, you know what it was? I was
band?
trying to be Springsteen.
There you go.
I mean, I grew up
Yeah.
on Springsteen, 1975, Born to Run. I'm like, I love him. I mean, I've seen him in concert over 34 times.
Wow.
Not
Okay,
35,
that's a
but
Springsteen
34.
fan, definitely.
I haven't seen him that many times, but he is definitely one of my favorite concerts.
There's no, and
Yeah.
to me,
It's amazing.
I just love the guy. I love the guy. I've met him a couple of times. He would never remember, but I remember. But in my fantasy, I always have these things. Like when I did Summer School, Carl Reiner directed that film.
Yeah.
And in my mind, like we all do, I go, hey, Mel Brooks will probably see this movie because he's friends with Carl Reiner.
Yeah,
The
and
thought
then
of
he'll
Mel
go.
Brooks
Yeah.
seeing my work makes me like, oh my God. When I was doing Oliver at the Aquarius Theater, and I was only like 13 years old, they came back, they said, stage, and they said, now kids, Lucille Ball is in the audience, and she's come to see the show. She's going to come backstage after the show. I was on cloud 9 because I grew up on television.
Yeah.
I am like I love television.
Yeah.
I still love television.
You can tell.
I mean, I watch so many shows. I
Yeah.
record them. Nothing makes me happier than when I lie down
Yeah.
and I have something on my TiVo that I
That's
can watch.
really cool, man.
And watch it. So Lucille Ball comes backstage after we do the show, and by then her hair was like, like purple, orange, red. I mean, it was like, And she looks at us, and she had too many years of those cigarettes.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You kids were marvelous." I'm like, scary. Thank you, but I was in heaven. She watched me,
Yeah.
and I had watched her all those years. I
That
mean,
is cool, man.
That is
I'm
That
like,
is cool.
I fanboy out on things. Man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I did Billy and Mandy, we had a ton. I mean, I've worked with a ton of celebrities on
Yeah.
shows. I've worked with, Roger Daltrey was on Angry Beavers, Terrence Stamp. I mean, you name it. There's been, they all do voiceover. But my one greatest thing was when Billy Hayes, Witchy Poo, and Weenie from Lidsville and HR Puff and stuff came on our show. I was like, I love you, I love you. She still works. I still see her. I haven't seen her in a while, but that was my favorite day
That's
of
so
all time. And I did my Charles Nelson Riley for her. I was like, oh, hello, Weenie. Oh. She says to me, I wish, Alice Ghostly, Charles, and I all have our birthdays at the same time, so we go out to dinner. We're going out tonight for our birthdays, and she goes, "I wish Charles could see you."
Oh.
Yeah. And when I played,
And you're like, what time? Where did you say you were meeting?
Can I
Was
go?
it
No,
what time?
honey, no.
7:30?
Yeah, no, honey, no. And
Cross the line.
And I crossed the line, and then Alan Hale Jr. said the same thing because I played Gilligan. He goes, "I wish Bob could see you." Those moments to me,
I know, man. That's really special.
Huge.
yeah.
Really special. Give them your serious look. There you go. That's a serious look. How do you define success to you?
I truly mean this. My success is that I have healthy, smart, great kids and a good home life. That to me really is a success to me. As far as business is concerned, I define success in terms financially. Financially, I do. I would be lying if I didn't.
Yeah.
It's nice to have some security and know that you can do things.
Mm-hmm.
I also define it by the friendships I've made. The friendships I've made that have lasted years for people who really are caring and supportive. And lastly, success is I want to leave this world with some sort of mark that says I was here. It doesn't necessarily, I don't have to be Chaplin.
Yeah.
I would like to. I think in my dreams, I think that as we get older, we have a tendency to say, you used to go, well, I'm going to win an Academy Award. Well, maybe I'll win an Emmy. Well, you know what? I'm just working every day. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
because it's like in any venture that you take that is based on talent. At some point, you have to be real honest with yourself about
Absolutely.
where like me. What I do with my voice
Yeah.
is good for me.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Well, it obviously works
Yeah.
for you.
Because I have a distinctive voice, a lot of people would look at that as a hindrance because you can always tell it's me.
Yeah.
But that's why story is so important. I come back to that
Yeah.
because it's like, De Niro is De Niro. Not that I'm comparing myself to De Niro, but De Niro is De Niro in every film.
Yeah.
But you still go
He's
into
not
a
the same
story.
character
Yeah.
in
He
every
goes
film.
into a story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter because it's animation. They draw you differently.
Yeah.
Daggett
Absolutely,
is much
man.
different than Zim.
Completely.
So,
Yeah.
That's success.
What are
That's
you
good, man.
most proud of in your life?
My kids.
Yeah.
I really am. And what I'm proud of is, I'm proud that I've been able to sustain a career following what I love and that I can make people laugh. That
Yeah.
really means a lot to me. I love making people laugh. I think that, there's a difference between an actor and a performer. And I know of me is that I'm a performer.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I perform.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be over the top and obnoxious when it shouldn't be, but I don't care. Other people's opinions of
You
me
don't care.
are none of
And
my
that's
business.
Because you're fearless, like you said earlier.
I'm fearless.
Man, I gotta
Well,
say,
you are very comfortable in your skin.
Absolutely.
You are such a joy to be
Oh,
with.
thank you.
and you
thank
are
you,
funny,
I
and
mean,
you're
for
very
everything.
entertaining.
Oh,
No
thank
wonder you
you.
have so many friends. You
Oh,
know,
I
because
have
people like
friends.
hanging
Am I
out with you
blushing?
because
Hold on.
you're entertaining. No, but beyond the entertainment, I have to say
You have
that
a
you
beautiful
are
heart.
Thank
truly
you.
and honestly
Oh,
a nice
thank you.
guy, a great guy,
Thank
a good
you.
friend. I know that you're out to actually help people and not just, hey, where's your money?
Yeah.
And I'm just the same way, man.
That's
It's all
right.
it's
I
it's
know
about
that.
helping first. And what a pleasure it
Oh,
has
thank
been
you.
to
We're
have
so glad
you.
Thank you.
on the
I'm
show.
glad I
We're
finally
so
made it
excited.
over here. Now
Yeah,
I gotta walk
absolutely, man.
home because I lost my car.
Don't
Well,
worry
we
about it.
wish
We'll call you a
just
cab.
Abundant serotonin rushes, and
Yes.
thank you for
Now
all
give
that
him
you
the
bring.
give him that serious look one more time.
Lee Majors.
Oscar, Audra, Jamie, there's trouble in the barn. I'm a stuntman.
What about Mandy?
Oh, Mandy, well, you came and you gave without taking.
Then what'd you do? You sent her
But I
away.
sent you away, oh, Mandy. Wait, I'm working up a tear.
Squeeze.
He's gonna
Pinch
do
your
it.
leg. Pinch your leg.
He's gonna do it.
If you put your
Here,
hand
we'll
in your
throw
pocket,
some water at your face.
put your hand in your pocket and pinch your leg really hard. You'll cry.
He used to say, pull a nose hair. Oh, ah!
Oh!
We love
All
you,
right,
Richard.
we love you, man. Thanks for being on the show. Put it there, brother.
All right, I'll see you in
We'll
concert
see you next
soon.
time. We'll see you in
Coming to a
concert.
town near you.
That's right, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hey everyone, it's Rich Horvitz, and I just got buzzed by Chuck and Stacy. It was a blast. I've never had so much fun. I watch this show all the time, and I hope you guys are watching this show. VO Buzz Weekly, coming at you. This is fun. This is so much fun.
Well, all I can say is extremely cool, extremely talented.
He is
right?
awesome.
What an awesome show. What an awesome guy. We will see you guys next week with another great episode of VO Buzz Weekly, so stay tuned.
Yes, and keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest at VO Buzz Weekly. Take care, everybody, and just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.